Hey, I'm Lisa Canning. I'm an author, speaker, and coach and mom to 7 gorgeous kids. And in today's video, I want to share with you house packing and moving tips that I have learned from my recent move from Toronto, Canada to sunny Southwest Florida. First of all, I want to say I have missed you. Oh my word. We took a brief hiatus because of our move, and you can look forward over the next couple of weeks several videos on our process of moving to Florida and what it's been like to set up our brand new house. Oh yeah, and of course I am pregnant with our 8th child, and so we have just been all kinds of excitement over here. So we have moved 4 times. My family has moved 4 times in the duration of the last basically 12 years. My husband and I are going on 12 years of marriage, which is totally nuts. Like, when did that happen? Anyway, side note. So our first house was a little tiny apartment in Midtown Toronto. Our next home was the home that we did a major renovation on, like literally like every single square inch of that home, that I affectionately called Canning Reno. Our third home was a home that I called #Canning Cabin. And then finally our fourth home, and probably like, honestly, I want to say like forever home, which I'm affectionately calling #Casa Canning. So I have learned so much, particularly from my move from our Canning Reno house to Canning Cabin. That move was terrible. And I will put a link in the notes below about a blog post I wrote explaining why it was so terrible. Like, you guys, like, I consider myself a fairly strategic person. There was zero strategy in that move, meaning I remember I packed my computer like in my purse, but I threw the charger for my computer in a random box. How does that make any sense? And we couldn't find the random box for like a really long time. Similarly, my TV remote I put in a box separate from the TV. Like, I just threw everything kind of like in my basement, in my general TV area, into a box, and we could not find the remote for the TV for like a week. Anyway, so my point is that I was determined to make my move to Florida just the most successful and smooth move. And if I'm being objective, I honestly think it was strategic and it was successful. It was also very stressful for many other reasons that I will definitely share throughout the course of this little series of videos on my move. But we definitely figured some things out from our learning from the past. And I just want to share with you. So let me know in the comments, first of all, have you made a major move in the past, or are you preparing for a move, especially with kids? House moving and packing tip number 1 is to do a deep purge. So now we decided, and this is probably going to be the next video in this series, so come back next week to learn why we decided to sell practically everything and start new in Florida. There are many reasons why we decided. We vacillated on it for like a million years. I feel like only brought what could fit in a 6x12 trailer that we pulled behind our passenger van. And so come back next week to learn why we decided to do that and the pros and cons of that. But doing a purge, regardless, is, whether you're bringing all your stuff or you're not, is honestly essential. Because this is what I think I did not do well from my Canning Reno home to my Canning Cabin home. I thought I purged, but then when we unpacked the home in my cabin in the woods, I honestly was like, what was I thinking? Like, I just brought the most ridiculous things over, things that I could not let go of because of sentimentality and all these things. And let me just say that our unpacking process on the Florida end of this move was so simple because obviously we purged so much. And even like not only just the physical unloading from the trailer to our garage, but the unpacking of every single box. We really, I think, did an okay job of bringing only the essentials. There are some funny things that made it, I'm not going to lie, which I will share with you later. But I really do think that a deep purge is the way to go. And if you struggle with the emotional element of saying goodbye to things, I would say you have got to bring a friend in who can help you purge, who can be objective. Of course, we're going to be really sensitive and sentimental and more emotional about our own things, but other people are not. And so, like, it's just, I really can't recommend enough how important it is to purge. Number 2, oh my gosh, this one is like the biggest one. I worked with professional movers. I cannot say enough about my experience working with luxury move management. And before we go any further, I want to say a really big thank you to Mindy and her team for partnering with me on this video. And you want to stay tuned to the very end of this video for a very special gift from Mindy and her team. I really thought, because I was selling almost everything, that I could do the move on my own. I was like, oh yeah, like this is going to be simple. I'm just going to get rid of all my stuff. NBD. It was not like that. Again, go back to point 1, the emotional element of keeping all my things and all that kind of stuff. I just was not like, I would not do with things. I literally was in paralysis for many weeks because I simply did not want to face the emotions of saying goodbye to things or deciding what to do with stuff. And so finally, I reached out to Mindy and her team, and I was like, can you help me? I got the help in the area I needed it most, and for me, it was packing. And this is where I think Mindy and her team of Allfemale Packers, like, which I think is so cool. This is where I think they really shine, because they came in and they were very gentle and encouraging. I felt so bad, to be honest, about my paralysis. I was like, Lisa, like I was being really hard on myself. I was like, why can't you just figure this stuff out? Like, just do it yourself. And it was just like, honestly, angels. I don't know how else to say it, but they just were, they were maternal. They were kind. They were very like gentle with me, but also very motivating and firm. I know that's a weird combination, but you know, I knew I only had them for certain blocks of time. I knew the clock was ticking. Like, I had to be out of my home by a certain date. And I just, like, there was no more excuses to be made. Like, they really helped keep me accountable and on a schedule with smiling faces. And there is just so much, there can be so much physical and emotional stress and exhaustion involved in moving. And to have the practical and emotional help to make it successful was just such a win. I think it's also important to note that the physical and emotional stress that comes with some of the ancillary things, or things that you think are ancillary, but professional movers don't think are ancillary. So for example, I would sit there and sort all my kids' clothes. P.S. So fun to get rid of all this winter gear. Like, oh my word. Like, however, I think we can kind of forget that it can be physically exhausting to go and take these things over to, you know, a donation bin or to a charity, right? Luxury Move Management packed their cars with all the stuff that I wanted to donate at the end of every packing session. Like, that was so, like, it's so helpful. And you might be listening to this thinking like, oh, that's no big deal. Like, I can just like pack my car myself. When you have a scarcity of time and a scarcity of energy in the midst of trying to take care of yourself, trying to take care of your children, trying to take care of everyone's emotional and physical needs, like, that exist outside of moving, honestly, you have to get strategic and ruthless in a way about enlisting help and delegating tasks. And this was one of my favorite things, that this beautiful group of women just took care of me without even asking. Plus, like, they brought everything. So boxes, tape, bubble wrap, paper. Like, I didn't really have to think through too much. When they showed up, they were like moving fairy godmothers, and it just made the entire process so much easier. Tip number 3 is to pack like with like. So I've already alluded to this whole absolutely terrible idea of packing my TV remote separate from my TV, packing my computer charger separate from my computer. You've got to pack like with like. And this takes a little bit of strategy. And when you work with professional movers, like I did, they kind of do that for you. Like they definitely thought that through for me. But just like packing things that you know are going to be in the same room, for example, right? Do that. Don't just like, I don't know, willy-nilly throw things in a box because there's room. Like pack things that you know are going to be specific for certain places and label them properly. The other tip that I got from somebody whose husband is in the military and they have moved so many times is if you know there's going to be a box that you do not need to open. Like, for example, in my case, we brought so many books, but I knew I wasn't going to have bookcases set up when we got down there. So I knew that anything labeled books was going to stay in a designated spot in the garage or in storage for a period. So you don't even have to kind of like open it and see what's inside. Similarly, like all of my off-season kids' clothes went into similar boxes. And so I knew as soon as I saw that box, I didn't even have to open it. It could remain in the garage, safely kept out of the way. So packing like with like items and then labeling really intentionally is like, will just save you so much time and stress and energy on the other end. Moving and packing tip number 4 is to pack vacation bags. This was another thing that was a massive fail when I moved from my canning reno house to my canning cabin. The computer charger one was a pretty big misstep. Like just me putting my computer charger in a box labeled office and thinking, oh yeah, I'll be able to find it, no problem, was not that smart. Let me know in the comments if you have ever done something like that, that, you know, is sort of a very, at least to me, fairly obvious thing that you should not do. Let me know if you've got a really fun story for me in the process of a move. But like, pack like you're going on vacation for 2 weeks. So what does that look like? Pack a travel bag per family member that has their essentials that could last them for like 2 weeks. So maybe that's 1 week of clothing, and then you're able to do laundry somewhere. That's definitely things like toothbrush, toiletries, hairbrushes, all that kind of stuff. For children, like a few books, a few toys. For mom and dad, computers, chargers. I remember I packed my Bible in a random box, and I remember being like, that's a book I use basically daily and I have no idea where it is. So pack that kind of thing in your little vacation bag so that you at least have all of your, you know, creature comforts and you're not searching for those things through a whole bunch of moving boxes. Tip number 5 is to acknowledge the physical and emotional stress of moving. I think from doing this 4 times, and this one being our most successful, just use this as the rule. You always need more help than you think you need. Even though we had just a 6x12 trailer, I knew that it would be like crunch time at the end. It is why I worked with Luxury Move Management. It is why I called on friends to help load the trailer at the very end. It's why I just like, you know, it's just necessary. And as the homeowner, you will get tired. And so I would even recommend having 2 shifts of people on your particular moving day if you're not going to hire people to actually physically move your boxes. It just was like, that was one of the things that we did well. We had sort of people who came during the day to help, and then we had people who came in the afternoon and evening to help. And I'm so grateful to the friends who came and helped us out. It means a lot. And like, dress well, dress comfortably, like wear running shoes, like don't worry about fashion when you are moving. Like I really, I lived in a pair of maternity overalls, and they were so convenient because they had like 100 pockets. And so I could always just put random things that I kept finding around the house that I knew I needed to deal with in the pockets. They were just really comfortable and really practical. You can't underestimate how tiring moving can be. So number 1, physical exhaustion. Number 2, the emotional exhaustion, which I know I've hit on a lot already in this video, but think about it. Moving a home, whether you're moving like down the street or you're moving across the country, the continent, to be honest, like I did, it is hard. That's it. There's no other way to say it. Like, it is just a thing. Like, you know, you're leaving all of your patterns, you're leaving all of your security, you're leaving all the things that have allowed you to thrive to that point, and you're venturing into the unknown. And that can be terrifying. It is also why many people don't do these kinds of things, because it is hard. And so I share this because I think you can prepare for it. I think you can prepare for it both in like mindset, so meaning programming your mind to literally prepare yourself to say things like, I can do this. I am the kind of person who can do hard things well. Like literally even just those kinds of affirmations are really helpful. But again, like bring in the people that you need to help you thrive. So whether that is trusted friends, whether that is family, or whether it is like working with a professional moving company like Luxury Move Management, whatever it is you choose to do, you need the emotional support. Oh my goodness. Like I just, and it really, bringing in the right people for me really, especially while pregnant, was just a huge asset. And I will be forever grateful to all the people who helped get us to this point. So those are my tips on moving. Let me know in the comments below if you have any more to add to this list. I would love to compile like the best moving and packing tips ever in this in the comments below. And exciting news for you, if you are planning a move in the GTA area, Mindy and her team over at Luxury Move Management is offering 10% off of packing services for my audience. I'll put the code in the comments below, as well as a link to where you can contact Mindy and her team if you are preparing for a move. If you're interested to know why we moved our family from Toronto, Canada to sunny Southwest Florida, I have created a playlist for you in the cards, and I will see you on the other side.